My guest wants to be president of the land without using a political party, Marricke Gane. Why should Ghanaians throw away political parties and say, look, we are going for an independent person? Is it because of the personality who is going independent, or it's because of how political parties have treated them in the past? Why?
It's for a number of reasons. It's not because I'm an independent candidate alone. It's largely because I'm offering a choice that the political parties have not been able to deliver. It's because the political parties have treated the business of running a state as though it is, they are running a political party, and that has not augured well. We still run the state as though we are all family, and so if somebody messes up, just pull him back and let's do it family-wise and let's let him go. Nobody gets punished, and we've seen it over and over again. It's the business of running a state as though, once we all come into power, we are all entitled to everything that, the state has in terms of assets. These are things that it's not auguring well for every single Ghanaian. That's what we intend to change. The other reason why they should vote for me is largely because you see, one of the things I say, two things I say this country needs right now is somebody with integrity and somebody with a track record of accountability. I have both. I am an accountant by training. I have worked in a good number of OECD countries where, I've managed quite a number of funds. Not any single one of those fund owners can come right now and say that a single penny or a single pence has been missing from that. We lack that accountability. We lack that integrity in this country. And for a good number of other reasons, I'm quite young. I understand how the future works. I understand the future we need to create for our youth in this country. And forgive me to put it this way, but the old folks do not. And so it is all of these things.
Old folks have wisdom. Is that not a popular refrain?
Wisdom, and we've always said wisdom is a thing connected to age. That sentiment has changed. You can find a kid today who is very well plugged in, more than somebody who is twice or thrice his age. So, the demography is changing.
What do you think about the constitutional mandate or requirement that says you should be 40 at least before you run for president? Do you think that's fair, or it's too much?
I think at the time it was set, yes, it would have been reasonable. I think that demography is changing, the rate of absorption of knowledge is changing, and so some of these things actually do need to change.
Do you think the age should be lowered?
I think it will start to change.
To what?
I would say something from 37 is reasonable. Because
that's just 3 years difference.
It makes a lot of difference.
We have presidents elsewhere. Justin Trudeau is young. In France, we have Macron.
Who's just turned 40.
Yeah, so why don't you consider these things, perhaps?
Well, I mean, if you look at the world, you see, the point I think we need to understand is that the world is moving in a totally different direction. It takes a certain kind of mindset to also move either ahead or in that direction. You will not find, you will find that mindset in a lot of younger people. And so it's necessary that we start to groom our young people and position them to be ready for the future, because the truth is the future is going to come no matter how you look at it.
So you're campaigning on your personal track record. But you see, these political parties...
It's not just my personal track record.
I mean, you're positioning yourself as being better. You have no stint of corruption. At least we haven't seen one yet. Yeah. Maybe when we dig, we may find. I don't know whether
nothing to find.
We may look for it. We don't
ahead.
Know. Yeah, we can't say. But I'm saying that these political parties too are led by individuals who claim that they have a good track record. So at the end of the day, we are not voting for an independent person, but of course, it's the person who leads the party. That's why we have an individual on the ballot and we have an executive president. How do you argue that an independent candidate is better than an independent-minded person running a political party?
Omar, it's very obvious. We've had the two you've talked about for 27 years.
And we have grown, haven't we? We have a constitution. We have a fledgling democracy. We have a
constitution that has not grown at the rate at which the people have evolved. We have a constitution that has not evolved at the rate at which businesses it is trying to organize have evolved. We have a constitution that has not grown at the rate at which the world in which we live in has evolved. So the constitution you just talked about actually needs an overhaul in itself. The leaders you talked about need a change in mindset as we speak. And so this is not me pitching myself against them. This is me saying, you know what, we've gotten to a point where Ghanaians need to see that the choices we've made in the past, yes, they may have been good, 10 or 20 years back, but after 27 years, we've just come to the realization that those choices we made between either the NDC or the NPP are no more fit for purpose. And it works with everything. The machines you use here, maybe 10 years down the line, they may not be fit for purpose.
So why don't you try a third party? Why do we have to bring an individual who has no political party?
It's not about individuals. Like I said, we can try another third party. Yeah, that's not a problem if that's what Ghanaians want. But the reality we have to face is that the way parties have been organized in this country is a family affair. It's a very close-knit agenda. It's you scratch your back, I scratch mine. As long as we are in this party together, then nothing you do can be wrong. I cannot punish you because that puts an indictment on the party and that gives ammunition to our opponents, and therefore it will never happen. So we've lacked in discipline at some point. We have no discipline in our governance procedures. We have no opportunity to actually punish people because doing so speaks bad against the party. And there's so many things that have come out of the way we have run parties.
Let's look at the practicality of being an independent president. A lot of the structures are built for people by the political parties that they represent. So you have ward chairmen who end up coordinating activities in those municipalities. You have municipal chief executive, DCs coming from party candidates who may have contested and lost, or who have been active, or party chairman and so on. How are you going to choose, for instance, an assembly, a municipal chief executive or a district chief executive for my district, Shai Osudoku, when you do not have anybody in your party represented in that locality?
Umaro, there is already a structure for choosing DC. It's not entirely party-driven.
You're supposed to be nominating the president.
Right.
You're supposed to nominate. How would you nominate someone in Shai Osudoku, for instance?
There are people who make part of that choosing process. It's not just the president.
Yeah.
There are assembly people that are also part of that selection process, or that
they're supposed to just vote. They are not supposed to.
But let me just put this across to you, Umaro. Positions are not to be party driven. If we go down or continue to go down that line, that is why we are in the problem we are in.
You know why?
What we want, hold on. What we want to do is to say, you know what? Let's go out there and find the best suited Ghanaians for this sort of roles. And this is not just at the very basic level. This is all across. Whether it's ministerial, deputy ministerial.
I know. But the president considers all these things. Who is best suited, and they choose the best among their party in the locality.
But that's where the problem starts.
Yeah, but
it's not just about the party.
Are you suggesting that they do not have better people?
No, I am suggesting that if all we want to say is to say, if the NPP wins power, then every good person in this country who should fill a position should come from the NPP.
It has to be tried and tested.
No, but then we have messed up with the meritocracy that we need to move this country forward.
Have we? The NPP has at least 4 million followers. The NDC has at least 4 million followers. Are you saying that out of 4 million people, we can't get someone in each of the districts? That should be very open. You don't have that population following you.
The fact that this is about Ghana we're talking about.
Fine.
The fact that
explain to me how you're going to choose your DCEs when you do not know anybody there, and you don't know anybody who knows anybody there.
Well, what do you mean I don't know anybody? You don't know who I know, Maro.
How many people can you really know since you're an individual?
But that is the point. I am not working alone. And this is the mistake everybody makes. There's this assumption that because you're an independent candidate, it means you're alone. No, that's not what it means.
You have people?
Of course.
What kind of people do you have?
Hold on. You've seen our manifesto. Okay, Umaro, if I were to ask you, how many people do you think wrote that manifesto?
It will be a team, I'm sure.
Good.
But how many people do you have on the ground?
Every single thing on that manifesto was put together by at least a minimum of 12 or so professionals, between 12 and 20 professionals who came together to put that together. Now, if that is anything to go by, Umaro, it tells you that we actually have very solid people to get things done.
That's awesome. But you see, I've looked at your manifesto. You are interested in decentralization. And that's why I keep harping on the MCE thing.
Yeah.
How are you going to choose DCEs? So, for instance, I have asked Shai Osudoku if you ignored that.
Right.
Zabzubu Tatale or Mion, who is going to be your Mion DCE, for instance?
If you have someone in my team, maybe I could say, I actually know people in Keta, but I don't know people in Zabzubu.
Okay.
If you are in my team, Umaro, I am very sure that you would also know others who can present a viable candidate.
Do you know?
So it does not have to be about me. It does not have to be about the limitation that I am running alone as an independent candidate. That is why you have a network of people.
The problem is that the DCE is the president's representative in a locality.
Agree.
You should at least have someone who you trust, who knows that person, even if you don't know them directly. You're supposed to choose 240 plus people to help you govern at the local level.
The president of this country, just as you asked me whether I know every single person that is going to be chosen to represent the president at those levels. The president, whether it was Mahama or whether it's Nana, does not know every single person that he has to appoint. In some cases, some of them have had to be recommended to him.
Yes.
And so
recommended by people he has known and trusted.
But the point I'm also making to you, Maro, is that the fact that I'm independent does not mean I don't have people I trust.
How many, do you have people in every constituency nationwide?
I have people in every constituency. There are a lot more people who are joining us on a day-to-day basis. Let me, before you jump in, some who are professional and they've been working all their lives in this country, outside this country, and all over the place. There are some who are local, who know the terrain and who understand the things that need to get done.
Do you have a coordinator or a focal person in every constituency?
Right down from the regional level all the way down.
How many do you have per constituency?
We have, what do you mean, followers or supporters,
people
individual
who are building your project
in terms of our constituency, let me start from the regional. At the regional level, we have about 3 people heading every region who try to borrow it down to the constituency. At the constituencies, we have at least a minimum of 5 people in each of the constituencies.
And these are not supporters and followers, but rather coordinators.
Well, you can't be working with us if you don't support.
No, I mean people who are working the machinery
these are
for
people who are working
the machinery.
And this is not about
Do
the
you know
masses
all the people who represent you it's all the 3 people represent you in each of these 16 regions?
I know most of them, yes.
Most of them. So, for instance, if I ask you who your regional coordinators for Northeast are, you can mention the 3?
His name is Tahiru. The lead there is Mr. Tahiru
That's
Ibrahim.
Northeast.
Yes.
And Upper West?
Upper West is Aaron Dabo.
How well have you known Aaron Dabo?
I've known Aaron for a good number of years, close to about 10 years.
Okay, so he identifies with your group. Was he a political party member before he chose to follow
another party? No, Aaron has always been the typical standalone. His brother, though, is a very strong NPP person.
I see.
Yes.
Then when Aaron is in charge of the Upper West region, so you trust anything Aaron tells you. Do you know anybody in the Upper West aside?
There are other people within the Upper West region team. For example, Mr. Solomon, who is working with Aaron. Mr. Gideon, who works with Solomon.
So these are the regional level?
These are the regional level.
How about the constituency? Do you know anybody there?
Of course.
Which of the constituency, for instance? Do you know?
Okay. Okay, let me take the Anglo, for example.
Okay, Anglo is down south, you're near your hometown. I want us to talk about a remote
part. Okay, that's fine. Let's take what is it called? Upper East, for example. The gentleman who is at the very constituency level, Mr. Paul Honkani.
Which constituency is this?
I think this is Bolga Central.
So Bolga Central is the heart of the capital of the region.
Yes.
Let's go a bit more rural. Let's go to Timpani, for instance.
I don't know what this is going to drive.
So this is supposed to check whether you really have people on the ground, people who you know who can help you well.
Because
you see, political parties always say that we have grassroots supporters and we are mobilizing.
Right.
And they have people who can, in fact, the president in Accra or John Mahama, for instance, in Cantonment, may possibly have a constituency youth organizer in Bole Bamboy, and he can just easily call him, or in Nabdam.
But what makes you think I can call somebody at the constituency level and find out how things are going?
I'm just checking if you have these people. I just want to know.
You see, the point is that I've been telling you that we have 3, 5, and then the bottom spreads across.
Yeah. Okay.
But you still don't believe that I can pick a phone and call somebody.
I do not doubt you. I do not doubt you. I haven't seen your phone book.
Okay.
Are you going to choose your DCEs from political parties, NPP and NDC, or you're going to choose independent people in the municipalities?
I will choose people who are fit for the job, Umaro.
Okay.
So
you vet them?
Yes.
You have a team that will vet them?
Of course.
How about regional ministers?
The same.
you go
Look,
through
one
the
of the
procedure.
things we have said we want to do with regional ministers is that they should be people who have an understanding of development.
Okay.
This thing where we choose regional ministers simply because they have either made the most noise during campaign or they have given some money, it needs to change, because and I'm glad you understand that we are very focused on some level of decentralization.
Is your interest.
Right, it is my interest. And so we do need the right caliber of people who understand that, development is not just about being a regional minister and therefore you become King Kong, and therefore, it's all about what monies come to the region and how you control that money. We want to start having people who will go at the regional level and start telling us, these are the things we've seen in our region, and these are the ways we can start raising financing at the regional level. Because currently, as we speak, Umaru, we've talked about decentralization several times. What we currently have is largely just political and administrative decentralization.
Because they're supposed to represent the president. Do you believe MCs, DCs should be voted for or appointed by the president?
I think the president has enough powers to want to add. And this is something that I feel that when the debate came about whether they should have political sort of connotations around their coming on board, I felt very strongly against it, because the political parties already have enough power as it is, have already enough influence to and they are not using it well.
So you don't think DC should be appointed? You think they should be elected?
I think everybody should be elected.
So
the voice of the people
assemblies
should be
are already elected, so DC should be elected.
Yes.
MPs are being elected.
I stood for this.
Should regional ministers be elected?
I just didn't agree that it should be political. On partisan basis.
Parliaments, you're supposed to work with Parliament and do a lot of. You're supposed to choose some of your ministers from them. You're going to do that, right?
It's the law.
So if you think that NPP and NDC have failed us, you're going to rely on NPP and NDC's MPs to help you develop a country. You think they'll work with you?
Hold on. But NPP and NDC is not individuals.
They are, that's the point. They're not individuals.
Yeah, they're not individuals.
They are groups.
And so
they have a similar mindset.
Yeah, so it does not mean that everybody in Parliament who is on the NPP side is awful.
Oh, really? Yet you said
Isn't that the case?
And yet you said the parties are not helping us.
Well, if the party has... Hold on, no. The party has... If I said Citi FM was not great, does that make you not great?
So then it's not fair to say that Citi FM is not great.
I think
because you know that Citi FM is made up of elements, and if the elements are great...
But it does not mean that...
A group is as good as the elements in there.
There are different reasons why a party may not be great. It may be because of their policy direction. And the way we do politics in this country, mind you, Umaru, is that irrespective of what your personal position is as an MP, as soon as the party says this is the direction we're going to, you have to follow. Otherwise, you probably lose the chance of your next primary. What I am offering to even MPs within Parliament is to say, for the first time in your career as an MP, you actually do not have to be afraid to stand against a policy that has been brought to Parliament. You shouldn't even be afraid of having a hard conversation around it, because you know that your next primary is not on the line.
So we are still testing the practicality of an independent president. We've not had it before.
It's not testing.
That's what we are doing now. We have not had one before.
It's not testing. So I'll tell you why it's not testing.
Why are we not testing?
Because you see, when we started this process of our democracy, one of the things we understood was that the executive was going to be totally different from the legislature, and of course, we know the judiciary is already quite independent. What we have had is not that. We don't have a legislature that has the hard arguments with executives. They largely rubber stamp. I am saying that getting an independent candidate in there is going to ensure that for the first time we do somewhat have some level of separation.
Okay. So you're going to choose from these people, except that you are going to choose those.
And I actually have an advantage in choosing. Because if you have...
None of them owe you nothing.
No. Well, that's one. But the second point is that if you have an NDC executive, 99% of the chance he's going to choose people from just the NDC. Yeah. We know the NDC doesn't have all the men. Yeah. If you do likewise with an MPP, the same is going to happen. With an independent candidate, you actually have the chance to choose the best of both worlds.
But you see, the difficulty again that you may run into is that as a president, you want an executive that will help you develop your agenda. So, for instance, Nana Akufo-Addo said he wanted to do free SHS. If he needed Parliament to support him and he doesn't have majority in Parliament like you may not have, it will be difficult to get things through Parliament.
Not the case. Umaro, I had an MP say to me that if you bring your budget to Parliament, we won't pass it. And the simple question I asked him, how do you get paid? You know, the agenda we bring to the Ghanaian people is not about parliamentarians. They are representing Ghanaians. The agenda we bring is for the people of this country. The duty of the parliamentarian is to ensure that those agendas are the right for the people they represent and that they are executed in the proper and safest manner for the benefit of us all. If you have an MP now telling you that, yes, your agenda is great, it's going to help the people of my constituency, the only reason why I'm not going to stamp my mark on it is simply because you are not NPP or you are not NDC, that MP has just exposed himself to the constituency he comes from.
Okay, so that you think you figured out how you're going to deal with Parliament?